many decades with the private sector here in Bangladesh. And then we felt that it was maybe time to start something, something different, instead of working on or within the private sector, really work on developing the private sector. And this is how we started our journey in impact investment. Now, what it has to be said is that our program, Bijon Islam, is really unique in the sense that he works exactly, and I hope I'm not too much, distorting your name, and I apologize for that, what Vinet was just sharing with us right now. What we do with our program here in Bangladesh is to work on the ecosystem. So we work with all the stakeholders. Vinet actually made my first intervention really easy, because the second point that is very important in our program here in impact investing is we have to be careful what impact investing is. Because yes, as we know, as women, like gender could be everything is gender, or now everything is green. You have the same a little bit now, everything is impact. No, not everything is impact. And on the Bijon program, we work a lot on the definition. What is impact? How do you define it? How do you measure it? And what Vinet was also absolutely rightly saying just before, it's about the double bottom line. Not only you address effectively and sustainably a social environmental issue, but you also make money, because at the end of the day, you are a business. And the next point I would like to say is a couple of things on the result of what we have been doing with what we call shortly BPRD. So we have partnered with 16 impact enterprises through catalytic funding. We have done capacity building on how you define your social narrative, how you measure it, how you present it to investor, with about 100 enterprises. What we have done as well, we have teamed up with the National Advisory Board here in Bangladesh on impact investing. They are a member of the Global Association. And with this of impact investing, and with this NAB here in Bangladesh, together with LightCastle, we have developed what is called the Bangladesh Impact Investing Strategy and Action Plan, which is all about, on one hand, safeguarding what impact investing is, but also making it known, and as Vinet was also telling to us, making it scale up. Now, what do we see from the perspective of the Embassy of Switzerland being partner in this impact investing scene here in Bangladesh? What we see is that there is a need to promote Bangladesh as a country where you can invest in impact investing, because it does make a difference, though you have also to demonstrate this difference. Then also it's super important to support the local players, including the impact enterprises, the service provider, as well as the capital holders and the investors, so they can expand here what they are doing in Bangladesh, and they can also understand what this impact investing is about. And then my last point, Bijon, what is also very important, and I stress that, and Vinit was pretty clear on that in his keynote speech to us, we have to work together. So when we say impact investing, we are talking about the same. Back to you, Bijon.
Thank you, Corinne. And I think very, very well said. And I think I also like the way that Vinit kind of started the keynote, right? All investments create impact, but not all investments are impact investing, right? And thank you for clarifying what that means, right? Maybe I go to Samin the next. Again, glad to have you, right? I was again going through some of the work that we have done, especially that how you leveraged youth to create SDG solutions through entrepreneurship, right? And it goes back to the keynote, how entrepreneurship can solve critical problems. And it's almost a $500 billion market here at Bangladesh, right? Can you tell us a bit more how you have done that, and also how you have linked that to SDG-linked financing tools? That would be great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Bijon, and pleasure to be here as well. And then I think just summarizing in terms of what we have done in a nutshell from the Youth Collab by the UNDP and City Foundation is looking into the impact investment, and the discussions were really forming during the last few years over there. But there was a gap in terms of the supply of good solutions. I mean, great to see that we have championing entrepreneurs here on the table, but especially like 5 to 8 years back, I think the startups or the Silicon Valley tech sector was really booming, or the wording at least. But in terms of startups looking at impact and generating those kind of solutions for communities, number one, it was the culture was not adapting in Asia Pacific, and also regulatory environment was not supportive, and then also the young people taking it as a career opportunity. I think even being a South Asian myself, coming from Sri Lanka and relating to Bangladesh as well, I think from our own ages, parents and everyone is pressuring us to be an engineer or a doctor. So how in terms of creating a solution, especially on impact investment area, like actually when Minus was saying it, actually I have a similar garbage mountain behind my home, and which actually collapsed, and actually even a few people passed away as well in 3 years back. And someone creating a solution to that one is not being tapped as an opportunity that could be created. So we addressed that solution in 3 ways. And then we were really proud to be recognized by Her Excellency Prime Minister Madam yesterday for the work that we had done as well. So what we have achieved through Youth Collab is 3 layers. So first, we want to look at, if you are an individual young person anywhere in Asia and the Pacific over there, and you feel a problem, you see a problem, how we can help from A to Z. So we don't have all the answers, but at least that's a dream, rather than creating, okay, we'll do a hackathon and then they give a grant and, okay, you are by your own, figure it out. To like, okay, what are the skills gaps that are there? Is it the language? Is it the technology? Is it the know-how? Is it the mentoring? From there, and then come with the early stage, like seed and capital grants, how we can match them, and then connect with investors, impact investment platforms, and also Series A plus investment platforms. So thus we have created, and we are honored with the local partners like the Ministry of ICT, Startup Bangladesh, and others. We have supported over 15,000 social entrepreneurs, creating over 1,700 startups in over 28 countries, including Bangladesh. So that has been a really amazing journey that we had. The second layer is the partnerships, because that's where these kind of forums come into key shape, because we need every players in various ways. We need governments, but we also need academia. We need incubators, accelerators. We need government partners. We need young entrepreneurs coming into the same room, same tables. So that's what we have been trying to achieve through the mainstream approach, because sometimes there are policies made without the young entrepreneurs being on the table. So how we can bring them into that table? How sometimes there are young entrepreneurs that are aware about the opportunities already available. So how we can connect these steps? And last but not least, we have been achieving, I think that's where we had a great partnership as well with LightCastle in terms of the policies. And given the United Nations architecture and others, when we work with the governments, how we can help to drive the startup policies, but also like business registration, financial, and all these red tapes. I think we were hearing over and over yesterday as well how while there's a lot of growth, but there are still some red tapes. Even we're hearing on the SARS session as well before. So how we can address these areas as well. So this is something that we have addressed. We have done ecosystem diagnostics in Bangladesh, Indonesia, Pakistan, Maldives, and Singapore, and then moving into that policy dimensions over there. So through these lenses, supporting directly, creating partnerships, and then bringing the policy environment, we are facilitating in many countries the impact investment ecosystem to nurture, to connect the partnerships. I think that's in a way that we have connected over there. And then being a social entrepreneur myself, I think it's really great to see that all these opportunities coming through, and hope that we can drive the discussions forward as well. Thank you.
No, thank you, Savinta. And I'm really glad that, UNDP is taking kind of like ecosystem approach, because there are a lot of things in the ecosystem that needs to be get solved, right? And I like that you were a social entrepreneur before doing this, so you actually know the pain points, right? And can work on that as well. So on that note, I would actually like to move the kind of like the centerpieces of this summit, right? The entrepreneurs themselves, right? We are all kind of like support pieces in a chess, and I like you guys are the knights, the kings, and the queens, right? So because we have seen an example of kind of waste management and everything, I would like to move into Farhana, right? Who is the founder and CEO of this excellent enterprise, Bhumijo, right? Farhana, we know that you have been elevating local livelihoods, right? And you have provide access to very critical infrastructure, which is clean and inclusive toilets, right? To low-income communities, right? And through technology management, I think you have served close to 2.5 million customers, if my stat is correct, and out of that, 20% are females, right? Can you tell us a bit more how your identity as an impact enterprise impact your fundraising and operational processes, right? And how do you kind of have scaled this enterprise to the stage where it is right now? Farhan, over to you.
Thank you, Bijon Bhai, for inviting me, and I'm really grateful. So I'm within this panel because when I started, I have heard a lot of things, what you are doing after graduating from architecture and planning, and I'm wasted. I have no future. So people think in that way. And even in the early days, it was like, okay, should we, I mean, when we didn't have the registration, so we had a lot of discussion with my founder, with my other co-founders and other team members, should we do the NGO thing or the private limited company or those sort of things. So, you know, as Vinit mentioned during his keynote, like Bangladesh has done a wonderful job, I mean, in terms of development. I mean, NGO has helped us a lot in terms of sanitation and other basic services. So people think sanitation, I mean, in most cases, I would refer the local people, they think sanitation is a service that has been provided by or supported by NGOs, and it should be kind of NGO kind of thing. So why you are not doing the NGO registration, or why you are planning to bring investment into your company? So that lot of discussion has going on in the early days. And you know, people has distrust in somehow, like you are very educated in some ways compared to other very Bangladeshi people. You might not work in the same sector. Maybe you will work for 1 or 2 years. It's out of hobby, not from passion. And when you will need more money, then you will switch to something else because you have other expertise, or you have your expertise can flourish in some other things. But right now, in these days, lot of impact, I mean, we heard about lot of impact investing. I mean, during my starting period, I even don't know, I mean, what sort of investment I should, or our organization should seek for, and where I should go for taking support. I mean, when people are, I mean, in the most local cases, I mean, everyone wants to be unicorn. So if Bhumijo cannot be an unicorn, but if there is not any possibility to be a unicorn, so what am I doing, or what Bhumijo is doing? But if you think, I mean, if you see the SDG indicator, like we are working with gender equality. We are working with SDG 6, water and sanitation. We are improving communities and life, which is SDG 12. So how can we measure all those things? So I'm really, really glad, I mean, at 2023, I mean, a lot of discussions are going on around impact investment, and the things that we are doing, we can do good work and we can also make money and we can sustain. So this is one of the things that I want to say. And how we want to scale, I mean, from that time, I mean, when we started at 2016, it was like, we don't know how to do these things, and we had a lot of iteration after that. And now we know what can be done in terms of scale. I mean, how the solution can be replicated to other places. And I also, again, went back to Vinit's word. He said, like, we need to solve Bangladeshi problem. Because our market is, I mean, it's not that small. It's really big. And also, to do that scale, we need to have, I mean, we need to showcase those kind of things. I mean, impact investment or the stories around those sort of enterprises is very necessary. And some policy changes might be required. Actually, like even in the government, they also think this is not as a service. Or if it's think as a service, the price point, they don't know how to, I mean, in our case, like toilet has been leased out to people, those who don't have that much experience to operate. But the leasing fee, they think it as other business. But it's a certain service, you cannot charge your user beyond certain level. So I mean, I think it's a good time. I mean, it's the best time. We are talking about it. If we can, I mean, a lot of other organizations are also working, like LightCastle, Biniyog Bridhi, and other impact investor, NAB, all of them are there. And if we have some policy changes, and then we, I mean, not only Bhumijo and enterprises like Bhumijo who are creating really, really good impact on Bangladeshi people, we will be able to scale up and we will serve more people.
No, thank you, Farhan. And I think the courageous step that it took is where I think we all are, right? That's why, things made a difference, right? And thank you for doing that. And we hear your sentiments, right? Definitely we are here to support. Sebastian, moving back to you, right? I mean, I met Sebastian almost, 7-8 years earlier,
Probably.
Right? And I think SoulShare has been a very, very interesting company. If I remember correctly, and do correct me if I'm wrong, right? We started with microgrids, decentralized grids, moved on to solar rooftops in different institutions, factories, right? And now you also showed our Prime Minister the solar powered three-wheelers, often nicknamed as the Tesla of Bangladesh, right? I mean, it's a great journey, right? Making electricity clean, one of the hardest things to do in the world, right? So just tell us a bit about how that journey was like. What are some of the positives that drove you, and what were some of the challenges?
Thank you, Bijon. Thank you, Bijon, and thank you, Startup Bangladesh Limited, for inviting me. And I think Farhana just showed it, right? It's this deep passion and commitment, and she knows what she wants to do. And I think if she didn't have that, she would have given up by now. And it's similar for me. And Vinay gave the example, he gave these guys $500,000 and they burned it. I mean, in whatever fashion, I think remains a mystery. And then he gave them 5 million. You won't always find this kind of investor, right? So that was probably, so you need a lot of grit to stick to it, because entrepreneurship is hard. And I'm tempted to say that probably social enterprise or social entrepreneurship is even harder. But then I'm like, I would like to get rid of this notion, even the definition you gave in the brief, where it says impact investing, and since Corinne, you said we're very deep into what is impact. I would like to get rid of this notion that if you reach environmental and social impact, that this is in any form a trade-off to the financial impact. Because it says alongside financial impact, or we have the triple or double bottom line. It looks like, okay, there's 3 buckets, and I put something into the social one, something in the environmental one, and something in the financial one. It implicitly implies a zero-sum game. If I put something in the social, I have less in the financial. So I hate the triple bottom line concept. There is a concept which they call the integrated bottom line, which I think is probably better because it talks about the integration. It talks about not a zero-sum game. If I put more in the social, do I get more to put into the financial bucket? So if this is integrated, if I do more for the environment, do I get more? So I think we should much more stress what are the returns of doing these things. In Bangladesh, in the corporate sector, I still hear, oh yeah, I'm giving 2.5% of my profit for CSR. CSR is another enemy of mine. I'm like, yeah, you give 2.5% for CSR, but 100% of your future revenue is sustainability. That's what you need to look at. So I think that is a big challenge. And my journey reflects a little bit these fights with these people. So that's why I'm alluding to that. And since you mentioned, the core belief of Solskjaer of building in some shape or form what we call a future energy utility has always been the same. We started out with interconnecting solar home systems. So the belief was always Bangladesh has done tremendous in several ways. Like one was when I came, Bangladesh had 3 million solar home systems. The whole world had 4. So how is it possible that Bangladesh had installed more than India, the entire continent of Africa, Latin America together? So building on those successes, interconnecting solar home systems so people can trade electricity via another world record, which is Bcash. So whenever I sell electricity, my Bcash money wallet goes up and so forth. And then the biggest achievement, I think, was to convince European utilities to see, oh, hang on, we're always talking about this peer-to-peer trading in Europe and in North America, but we don't really know how to do it, it's complicated, and we don't really know what the added value is. How come you have already done it? So finding out, oh, Solskjaer just built the world's first peer-to-peer trading network without even knowing it. That was one of the ups. The down was, the big value proposition we had was the people did not have an alternative. There was no national grid. So the solar home system was the best solution. So if we could make the solar home system better and make a better experience for the people, that was an incredible value. But the moment the government extended the grid everywhere, that critical value proposition didn't disappear, but it went down to an extent that my VCs said, oh, Sebastian, these returns are no good anymore. This is not good enough anymore. So that's tricky. And I think you've probably a similar problem. If you provide a service which is difficult to distinguish between public good and private good. In the case of electricity, it's a rival good. I can exclude, so that makes it private. But when it comes to energy security, reliability, suddenly it becomes a public good. So that is tricky if you operate on this range. So I think that made the journey hard, and that makes also pivoting a requirement. But the core has to remain the same. And I think otherwise you just go from opportunity to opportunity, you're very opportunity driven, and the moment you find some resistance, you will give up. So I don't think that works. So it was ups and downs. Yesterday morning was an up. The Prime Minister was really, really happy. The first question she asked me was, what you do with the three-wheelers and with the batteries, is it solar powered? And I was really happy about it. But front center on her mind was, is it solar powered? So that was a big up. But there are a lot of, for one up, another 3 downs are coming next week. So we have to be all aware of that.
No, thank you, Sebastian, for your resilience, right? And I really like that what you said, the integrated bottom line, right? We have to think about that, all of us. I think, all things are important. It's not a trade-off, right? So the organizer has been telling me I have 15 more minutes. So I'm just going to switch to more rapid-fire questions from now on. And each of the honorable panelists will have 3 minutes to respond, right? So I will start with Corinne. So your rapid-fire comes, right? Yeah. Why is the impact ecosystem important for Bangladesh? What are 3 things that need to happen to reach a critical breaking point?
Right, let's be Swiss and on time. So thank you for the question, Bijon. On one hand, you have the tremendous economic journey of Bangladesh. On another hand, you have the commitment of Bangladesh, along with Switzerland and many other countries, to the Agenda 2030 and to the left no one behind. And the amazing economic trajectory of Bangladesh has also left a number of people behind. And fourth factor, official development aid is diminishing. So there will be less money coming from so-called development partners. And impact investing is a good answer in the sense that it's sustainable and it's a market solution to a very concrete problem. And I'm not going to repeat because I wouldn't be as eloquent. VNet made the case, in my opinion. So now 3 things that we think is needed to keep the momentum. First of all, is to continue showcase the emerging impact ecosystem of Bangladesh. We have to tell the story of impact in investing in Bangladesh, and as Embassy of Switzerland, we are publishing regularly stories of what we have achieved with our program Be Pretty. The second point is that we have to ensure the verification and standardization of impact measurements and management. And, in terms of methodology, processes, reporting, and so on. And then the last thing, and coming from a government, it's easy for me to say, what is also important is to incentivize impact enterprises and impact investors. So that would have been my 3 points. I hope I stayed within my 3 minutes.
Thank you, Corinne. You definitely said within 3 minutes. I was just checking on the clock. Saminta, can I move to you for your 3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, UNDP has a lot of development solutions, right? But I want, in your opinion, again, 3 sectors which you think has the most potential for impact enterprises in Bangladesh, and how can we facilitate more support for these verticals?
Correct. I think one of the areas that Corinne already built it up is actually the diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think we had an amazing gender panel yesterday evening as well. I think the true potential, I think it crosses across many sectors. So it can be coming in terms of financial solutions, healthcare, and others, but really looking into bringing in the groups that's like leading from a youth program and also working on young women and the talent, and then also through these digital solutions that we are creating, also how to be providing more services to persons with disability and some of these marginalized groups. So it's more like cross-cutting, but actually especially for the groups of financial solutions and also on healthcare and others, how we can use digitalization to address one of them groups. And from UNDP is a big advocate, and then I think it's a reality Bangladesh faces a lot of challenges as well, is on climate change. I think it's a challenge that is inevitable, even with 1.5 degrees, many challenges coming in, but it's a much more challenging area as well. So that's where areas like transportation, renewable energy, and then also creating like solutions which are from agricultural sector. I think given the Bangladesh strength, how we can actually connect to the impact investment through that lens of how, because even my social enterprise is also about climate adaptive agriculture through using traditional practices of Sri Lanka. So I think there are a lot of things that we could address through the climate change as well. And the last but not least, how we can bring more impact investment to Bangladesh. I think this is already the space. I think Startup Bangladesh and others have really done an amazing job. I think this should continue in scale and then with ownerships with many other partners as well, but also some strategic partnership. So being in 28 countries, I think what we could do is this. I think we also saw the India-Bangladesh collaboration, I think especially with the Southeast Asia. I think there's a growing population and also a lot of lessons to learn and contributions. So hope that could also strengthen as well to bring in more strength as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saminta.
Yeah.
And you're even more on time than the Swiss. Right, maybe I'll move on to Farhana for your 3 minutes, right? What are the 3 things, if you had a wish list, that you think will take Bhumiju to the next level?
Actually, I wish. Actually, we are working, and also this is a wish. We want to build the digital platform in a more robust way, so that we could ensure quality to our customer, to our user, without any interruption. It could be a woman who is working on the street, or she or he could be from an upper level income. So anyone should have our service in a efficient way. And second, we need to build our team. As we need to scale, as we are planning to scale, so team is extremely important to do so. And the third thing is we need to do some awareness in this sector, because I think we have had development in different areas, but as a citizen, we need to have some civic awareness, because it's not only the duty for the people who are giving the service to the people, but also as a citizen, we need to have some duty on themselves. So need to have some civic awareness thing. So these three things I want to do as soon as possible if I have funding and all the resources. So.
Thank you, Farna. All these three are very DNA of the company related. It shows your understanding of the business to such a degree. Sebastian, the last question for the panel, and again for your 3 minutes, right? You as an enterprise have raised both repayable capital and support, right? How do you balance such a different mix of investors? What kind of different impact measurement management practices you do within the organization to support that?
Yeah, I saw your question before, and I think I hinted it to you yesterday. I think it's the wrong question. I shouldn't balance it. I know on every panel I listen to, they tell me, yes, you should have a pitch deck for the development sector, and then one for the impact investors, and then for the VCs. And why? Why do I have to be the octopus and change color and shape to everyone? That's not my job, right? My job is to follow my business model, which is in a certain way, and then try to maximize the impact based on that business model. Now, when you as an investor doubt my impact, then maybe you shouldn't invest in me. Or when you in a VC doubt that I'm financially attractive enough, maybe you shouldn't. So I shouldn't need to do that, but I do. And Binyok Priti is, I think, doing a fantastic job and has been doing a good job in trying to link it to the more conventional capital. There are also a few downs, but we can discuss this afterwards. But honestly, I would like to thank the Embassy of Switzerland because it's been a refreshing new approach to go away from this NGO type of support, but getting more towards is what I'm just pointing out. I think we could do even more. In general, I say impact investment, the impact investors need more reporting, take more time, and give less money. But these are probably the three things you don't want as an entrepreneur. So yes, we do have different reporting, but we have been very choosy, become very choosy of what money we take, because I do not want to do it. I do not want to give an investor A, B, C, D 7 different reporting frameworks. But that's the core of the problem. If we are not sure how we measure impact, how can we align reporting towards it? So that's the first premise we need. And in Bangladesh, I have to say, in the last couple of years, when I meet impact investors, I get the wildest answers how they measure impact. It's been in how much taxes you pay, or like very interesting. They're all valid, right? But then I think we'll have to see where we are aligned with that or not. And I think that's probably my 3 minutes.
No, thank you, Sebastian. And every time we converse together, new ideas come up, and this will all help us make better. I want to thank the panelists. We actually finished 4 minutes ahead of time. So big hand out to the panelists themselves, right? It's a record, right? We finished early. With that, the panel has ended. We want to thank you, our dear audience, for listening to us for such a long time. We're grateful. See you when we see you. Thank you. I'll hand it over back to the organizers. Thank you, Samantha, for the quick answer.